Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something pretty mind-blowing. We're exploring how traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, views our emotions. We're not just talking about fleeting feelings in your head here. TCM actually sees emotions as literal physical forces that move through your body. If you've ever felt like your stress or anxiety was taking a real physical toll on you, well, you're about to see exactly why that happens through the lens of a truly ancient medical system. Seriously, think about it. Have you ever felt physically sick from a sudden shock, intense stress, or maybe a really profound heartbreak? We usually treat the mind and the body as if they're two totally separate things. But we've all had those moments where an emotion hits us so incredibly hard, it feels like a physical punch to the gut. Well, TCM has mapped out exactly how and why this happens. Okay, let's dive into this and bridge that gap between what you're feeling in your mind and what's actually happening down in your organs. Here's a quick roadmap for our explainer today. First, we'll look at when emotions become physical. Second, we'll cover fear, sadness, and worry. Third, we'll tackle overthinking and anger. Fourth, we'll look at the surprising effects of joy and shock. And fifth, we'll wrap up with the cycle of imbalance. All right, starting off with section 1, when emotions become physical. This is all about the bridge between your mind and your organs. So in TCM, your emotions aren't just abstract concepts floating around in your brain. They're deeply, intimately tied to your physical organs, your Zang organs. This is especially true for the heart, which is said to house our spirit, or shun, and the liver, which is in charge of keeping your body's vital energy, your qi, flowing smoothly. TCM calls these emotions Qing. Now, what's absolutely crucial to understand here is that TCM doesn't think emotions are bad. Not at all. They're perfectly natural, completely healthy mental functions. But they cross a line. They become actual causes of disease when they get too intense, when they last way too long, when you heavily suppress them, or when they hit you suddenly, like in a state of shock. Basically, if they overwhelm the system, they become a physical problem. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between a healthy emotional response and a pathological one. A healthy emotion just allows for the natural, smooth flow of qi through your body's meridians and organs. You experience the feeling, you process it, and it moves on. But a pathological emotion, one you repress or one that's just too excessive, that acts like a disruptive physical force. It literally disrupts your qi, injures the physical function of the organ itself, and can cause these messy systemic issues that TCM calls internal wind or phlegm. Let's move right along to section 2, fear, sadness, and worry. We'll be looking at the water and metal elements here. Let's kick this off with the kidney, which represents the water element. The corresponding emotions here are fear and shock. In TCM, fear has a very specific physical direction. It makes your qi descend. It drags it down. You know that old phrase, peeing your pants in fear? Well, TCM takes that quite literally. Extreme fear pulls the body's energy downward, which leads to physical symptoms like urinary leakage or incontinence. And if you're stuck living in a state of long-term fear or chronic anxiety, it literally drains your kidney essence and yin, leaving you with lower back pain, night sweats, and even premature aging. Next up, the metal element, which brings us to the lungs. This is where we hold sadness, grief, and worry. Sadness has this heavy effect. It literally dissolves the lungs' qi. It just depletes it. Worry, on the flip side, ties your qi into knots, usually right in the center of your chest. When your lung qi is dissolved or knotted up like this, you get the exact physical symptoms we all associate with deep grief. I'm talking shortness of breath, intense fatigue, a weak voice, weeping, and just constant sighing. That sighing is actually your body desperately trying to unknot that stagnant energy in your chest. All right, section 3, overthinking and anger. These are tied to the earth and wood elements. Honestly, these next two emotions are so incredibly common in our fast-paced modern world, and they do a number on our digestion. Here we have the spleen, representing the earth element. The emotion here is pensiveness, or overthinking. Just like worry, overthinking knots your qi, specifically your spleen qi. And in TCM, your spleen is directly responsible for your digestion and turning your food into energy. Imagine this. You're lying awake at 2 a.m., obsessively overthinking an awkward situation at work. Your mind is just spinning. By doing this, you are literally knotting up your spleen qi. The next morning, you wake up feeling bloated, you have zero appetite, and you're physically exhausted. Your overthinking literally just ruined your digestion for the day. And this brilliantly illustrates our next one, the wood element, the liver, which governs anger, frustration, and resentment. Now, if fear pushes energy down, anger does the exact opposite. Anger makes your qi aggressively shoot upward or stagnate. Think of a thermometer held right over a lighter. As the heat of your frustration builds, the liver qi stagnates, turns into what's called liver fire, and just rushes up toward your head. This perfectly explains why we get those throbbing headaches, bloodshot red eyes, and tension in the ribs when we're mad. Your anger is literally a physical heat rising up inside your body. Moving on to Section 4, Joy and Shock. Let's look at the fire element. Now, you might be wondering, wait, how can joy possibly be a bad thing? Well, when we talk about the heart and TCM, we're looking out for excess joy. We're talking mania, overexcitement, or just living in a constant, exhausting state of hyperstimulation. Excess joy, right alongside sudden shock, scatters the heart qi. Remember earlier when we said the heart houses the shen, your spirit? When your heart qi is scattered by all that overstimulation, it really disturbs that shen. Your spirit basically has nowhere to rest. Physically, this shows up as heart palpitations, severe insomnia, mental restlessness, confusion, and anxiety. Your body is physically just too scattered to calm down. Let's move to Section 5 and see how this all builds up. This is the cycle of imbalance, the domino effect of pathology. You see, trapped, isolated emotions don't just stay politely in one organ forever. If left unchecked, they trigger a literal chain reaction in your body. Step 1. An unexpressed emotion causes your qi to rebel or stagnate. The energy just stops flowing. Step 2. Because qi is what actually moves your blood, that stagnant qi eventually causes your blood to stagnate too, leading to blood stasis. Think sharp, fixed pains or physical blockages. Step 3. All that friction and stagnation generates heat or fire. It's exactly like running a car engine without any coolant. And finally, Step 4, that persistent heat ultimately burns up and damages your body's foundational yin, your vital, cooling, nourishing fluids. So an unexpressed emotion literally turns into a systemic physical breakdown over time.
So ask yourself right now, which of your organs is taking the brunt of your unexpressed emotions? Are you dealing with chronic bloating from constantly overthinking? Do you find yourself frequently sighing from unexpressed sadness? Or maybe you're getting tension headaches from rising frustration. TCM teaches us that our bodies are constantly communicating our emotional state through these very real physical symptoms. The goal isn't to stop feeling emotions, that's impossible, but to make sure they flow through us smoothly without getting trapped. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this gives you a completely new perspective on that powerful bridge between your mind and your body.